Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. Now it's the start of a new month and we've recently seen a new Thursdoid development blog posted by the team behind Project Zomboid. So as always, I'll be covering that in this video. I'll be aiming to give you all of the information you need to know from the post, whilst keeping things concise and simple wherever I can. If you find yourself watching these updates often, consider dropping the video a like and subscribe to the channel for plenty more Project Zomboid videos, especially when we see Build 42 come around in the not too distant future. Oh, and apologies for my voice today. I've got some allergies going on. I'm okay. Let's get into it. So speaking of Build 42, the team start us off with a bit of an update on how things are going and why things might be taking a bit longer than we first expected. For some context, the team explained that the huge crafting overhaul we're expecting as part of this upcoming major update was part of their main ambitions ever since they kicked off work on the project. The primary goal was to offer players the chance to build settlements, communities, and replace items that could otherwise only be gained through looting with some crafted alternatives, allowing servers to run without the need for restarts or loot respawns. The devs go on to say that whilst they've made good progress towards this goal, they've realized more and more how aiming to achieve a fully fleshed out crafting system is, in essence, holding up Build 42 coming to the unstable beta release we're after as players. The developers reiterate it's definitely achievable and will be realized in time, but stubbornly holding things back until the crafting system is fully finished will only further delay people getting to play the updates. As such, they've decided it would be more preferable to finish up what they've currently got going for the crafting system and continue to bug fix and polish the entire build to the point it would be able to go into unstable, then fill the gaps in the crafting system during the unstable beta release and with some smaller releases en route to Build 43. Blacksmithing, pottery, woodworking, food preservation, extra fluid and workstation mechanics, a new crafting system and much more will be making its way to us eventually. So to summarize, we won't be getting the full crafting system in the very first unstable beta version of Build 42, but it should mean a more prompt release than the alternative, and we will see it finalized as we go forward. The decision was only made this week according to the dev blog, though active development continues in other areas, and we've got some of those to check out in the next stages of the blog post. Just a final note here, the developers do say that it's definitely still going to take some time to get things to a releasable state for Build 42. The unstable build is, and I quote here, not imminent, but with the readjustment to their plans, the list of things to do has become much shorter, and the developers say they should get a much better picture on how long this should take by the next dev blog, and that's at the end of June. Now I know you guys are going to have a lot of thoughts and feelings on this one, so if you want to drop that down in the comments, please feel free. I'd ask that we keep it constructive, however, and remember everyone is here for the same reason, and that's because we love Project Zomboid. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get into the rest of the blog post. Next up, we get a look at some ongoing work to spruce up Muldraw from Ayrton. We see a couple of before and after shots for comparison, and I gotta say the improvements here are very noticeable. Stellar work from Ayrton on this, and I'm looking forward to exploring Muldraw once we get our hands on the update for the first time. If you didn't know already, this is just part of a much larger scale work to upgrade existing areas across the entire map. Next on the list is lighting. We've already seen some pretty spooky footage in some previous Thursdoids, like the ones venturing down into the bunker systems we're expecting to see, and other environments entirely where lighting has been changed to be much more atmospheric than the current iteration. This time around, we get a look at some more environments and comparison images showing how lighting was in Build 41, right next to that of Build 42, and then on top of that with some more recent additions also added in a third image containing individual lights from items like signs, lamps, crafting stations, and more. Pretty nifty stuff and a big shift in mood from what we have right now in the darker hours. Meanwhile, in other areas of the team, Uncanid and Whirlius continue their work providing assets built with actual PZ items and models to help expand the lore of the Nox event. The team make note that current focus is on newspapers, but they'll expand into flyers in the near future. We see an example of a recent newspaper finished by the team, and some new suitably immersive places we can expect to find them. The devs go on to explain that they'll also be ensuring that characters featured in newspapers, flyers, or broadcasts that have a location or place of work can be found at these locations in zombified form to really help sell that living world feel. They will also be adjusting certain zombie and loot spawns such as the bandit or survivalist zombie encounters to better reflect the world's current state. My interpretation here is that we won't be expecting to see full-on survivor zombies on day 2 of the outbreak, but more likely that we'll see them after a few weeks, just as a crude example. Next, we check in in on the multiplayer team, and we get a nice list of bullet points to this section, so I'm just going to display those on screen for you now and just give them a quick read since they're already fairly concise. These are just some of the items being worked on amidst a much larger list of improvements for multiplayer. So number 1, the ability for servers to have customizable login and server connection screens with an image of the server's own choosing and an additional smaller server icon. Number 2, improved anti-cheat settings. These could formerly prove problematic, but now they have been improved and tightened, and through server options you can turn each one on and off individually and also configure actions when cheats are detected, whether it's banning, kicking, logging, or ignoring them. Number 3, they've added an interface for viewing the capabilities of different roles like admin, moderator, and user. This interface allows you to add custom roles and from that customize the user capabilities for these new roles. And lastly, number 4, a new war manager feature intended to help server admins govern conflict between rival groups on the map. Everything about this is customizable, especially timers and countdowns, but essentially during a waged and accepted war, then safe house protection is turned off for all parties involved. This comes after a war has been declared and has been accepted, with refused declarations steadily taking away admin-defined points that will ultimately leave you unprotected if you stave off war declarations for too long. Lastly, for this dev blog, to wrap things up, we get to see some new containers being worked on in a bit of a teaser image, including, but not limited to, a Halloween trick-or-treating bucket, a cookie jar, and a Chinese takeout carton. Right now, I know a lot of people are using mods like Fool's new containers, which I'd highly recommend if you're looking for a bit of a taste as to what we might be able to expect in this area with build 42. So hopefully this shows we're on the right track to get some items just like the ones we see in those kinds of mods. We also see a list of some new keyrings, including one with a rubber duck, which I've mentioned for absolutely no particular reason and is definitely not my favorite. Maybe. Anyway, that's it from this blog post this time around, and that's it from me in this video. But as always, if you want to give the full post a read, there will be a link down in the description of this video. And if you're feeling the weight a little right now and are looking to try some multiplayer Project Zomboid whilst you bide your time ahead of build 42, our Patreon server is hosting a cryogenic winter run this month, which only started on June 1st, meaning it's a great time to get involved if you've been thinking about joining the server. Special thank you to all my existing patrons for their support, for joining us for just £3 a month, and for playing on our server. Thanks for watching, folks, and I will see you all in the next one.